Welcome to Family Unmuted, where Ruben and Tiana Estrada open the door to their lives as real estate brokers, owners of a family business, parents, and everything in between. This is our world, Unmuted.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Family Unmuted, Season 2, Episode 8. We've been gone for a little bit. Lots of personal things happening in our family, so thought it was about time to come back on. And I know that this season we were focusing on growth and all the things that contribute to your growth. But today we're going to talk about some growing pains. Because with growth does come challenges and some pain. So I thought now would be a good time to maybe talk about that. So first of all, how is everyone? How are we? How you doing, Ruben?
I'm struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a lot of stuff going on these past few weeks, and a lot of firsts. So just trying to deal with that and trying to work on my mindset and other things. So trying to figure out how do you take the next step and what that looks like and the dynamic of our families and all that thing. So yeah, a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah.
So
For those of you who don't know, in the last 45 days, maybe 30, 45 days, our family has gone through a lot of change. All good, nothing bad, just a lot of change all at once. We had our daughter Trinity graduate from college. Um, we welcomed our first grandbaby, Nathaniel's baby, into our family. We moved Trinity to an entirely different state. Olivia is going into middle school, so she left elementary. Ariana's going into kindergarten. It's just a lot. There's a lot of things happening.
Wedding coming up.
Wedding coming up. How are you doing?
Struggling too.
Yeah.
It's a lot to get used to and a lot of unknowns out there.
So, what have been or what are your guys' biggest challenges during these times? Because we're not out of the woods yet. Like, we keep joking, like maybe like August, all of us will be like, okay, now we can start to move forward. But there's just a lot of uncertainty still left for the next few weeks. So, what are your guys' biggest challenges right now?
I think just trying to get back into a routine.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest struggle is we haven't been able to plan out our days and stick to those, which creates inconsistency, which is the biggest um, challenge to begin with. Even when you don't have anything going on, it's hard to be consistent. And then you throw in all the personal things and all what that has to, all those complications. It's hard to be consistent, and we're right in the thick of the results the inconsistency brings, and that doesn't feel very good. So, first of all, just need to get back into having more of a consistent day, making sure that we're getting the things that we need to get done completed, and I guess try not eliminating the personal stress, but putting it in its place so that you plan out the time to take care of those things instead of being more reactive to those things. I think that's one of the biggest challenges.
Well, I think that's one of the challenges that people discount when you own your own business. And I think that most people feel like I work for myself, it's my own business, I can create whatever schedule I want to, or I can do the things that I want to do. And the challenge in that is it's a slippery slope. Because you have that independence, sometimes it's very easy to take too much of that, and then it creates this sort of storm for you, and it's very hard to get back on track, especially when you have so many things back to back to back to back to back. I feel like we're living in this place of like, oh, well, when that's over, then we'll. Oh, well, when that's over, then we'll. And we just don't get to the then will. So I'm with you on that. Like, it's challenging to be like, wait a minute, what's our real life? Because everything has been so out of the norm that I'm almost like digging through looking for what is the normal. And I know it's going to be a new normal, but we haven't even had a moment to like start that new normal yet. So I sort of feel like I don't want to say like keeping my head above water. That's not it. I just feel like we always joke like I feel like I jumped onto a moving treadmill, but I haven't gotten off yet. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
What are your challenges?
Just finding that routine like that. Sort of just figuring out what your day looks like and sticking to it, and like you said, not being so much reactive. Like, I feel like everything that comes by, we're just like, oh, okay, then let's do that, instead of planning it out. And it's hard to plan it out, especially when you don't know. Like, for me, like, I don't know when she's gonna wake up, when our appointments are, doctor's appointments, wedding appointments. Like, yesterday, like, we got mixed up, scheduled the same times, you had to take the appointment, and it's just trying to figure out when you have time to just plan out
think
reflect, instead of just going all in every time and being reactive and clogging down the emotions that you've gone through, because I don't think any of us have realized what we're going through yet.
We had that conversation in California because we moved Trinity out this past weekend. And that was probably the hardest 5 days I've had in a long time. Like, it was a road trip, and it was moving, and it was traffic, and it was just
unknown.
Yeah. And then there was the emotional piece. So you bring up a good point. I told Dad, I said, I don't even feel like any of us have had a moment to really process all of this. And I'm afraid I'm just going to be driving down the street one day and have to pull over and lose my dang mind and just cry like a mad person, because we just literally haven't had the time to process that. And I don't know that that's a good thing, but I don't know what the answer is to that.
Well, I think you have to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough. We've talked about that, and yeah, we're not there yet. I don't know if we don't have the time or we don't have the bandwidth to go through it. I think it just naturally it'll happen on its own time. So
and I
just
find
be
myself
prepared for
like
it.
kind of tiptoeing, like, is today the day? Is today the day I'm going to lose it? Because we just don't know. Like, I know it's coming, and so I'm like, in my subconscious, I'm like trying to be prepared for like the storm that's going to come of just emotions and whatever. And so I know it's coming.
Right.
So stay tuned. We'll let you know how that goes. We'll let you know how our breakdown goes.
Yeah.
As far as major changes in our lives, how has becoming a dad and starting your family been? Has it been what you thought? Was it harder? What's different? Because you were pretty adamant about like, this is how it's going to go, and this is how she's going to be, and this is how. So did you just throw that out the window?
Yeah.
I feel like we could throw that out the window like the day she was born.
Yeah,
nothing went to plan.
Yeah, nothing went to plan, but I mean, there's still some core values that I still like keep, but like as far as the little things, I just take it day by day and just see how she reacts to it, and then if I'm really strong on it, I'm adamant about it, and just learning about how to be a leader in the family, and just I'm really just trying to figure out myself before I can fix them. So I really just need to recuperate so all of us can move on.
Yeah.
Because it's been very emotional this month. So.
Has it been harder than you expected?
Yeah. But I think that's just how everything is. It's always harder than you think.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever easy, and just coming back to work was even hard.
No, I know.
Like, we all got sick, and I don't think that wasn't
part of the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's doing amazingly, in case anybody is wondering. She's the most perfect little baby ever born. She's awesome. Okay, so up to this point, what are some lessons that we've learned in all of this?
I think the sooner you can master your disciplines, the easier the tough times will be. Because if you haven't created the habits to um, pull through those tough times, they're going to be even tougher. And it just exposes your weaknesses. Um, and then that doesn't feel very good. So it's even harder for you to get back on track when you haven't created those habits and that muscle memory to just get back on the treadmill. So I think that's the lesson that I think life's always going to throw you curveballs and it's always going to be difficult, and you should just plan on that. Because if you plan on that and it doesn't happen, then you're even better. So I think that's the biggest lesson for me is that during this time, it's really exposed some weaknesses that I knew that were there, and I just didn't think they were that
Mm-hmm.
as significant as they were. So
Well, I think the one thing that I was not expecting, and we talk about our children a lot, and we've talked about these days of they're going to get married and they're going to move on and they're going to start their. We've talked about that. I was not anticipating it all happening at once. And I thought it'd be one
gradual.
left and then we'd have a couple of years and then another left and we'd have a couple of years. This has just been like a fire hose,
Mm-hmm.
which is not bad. And this is one of the reasons why we had this conversation. Like we get frustrated or we get upset or whatever it might be, but this is called having a big family.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the one thing that we chose, and this is the one thing that we work so hard for. So for me, the lesson I've learned is to not let the overwhelm overshadow the blessings of it all, because I found myself in a place a couple weeks ago where I was like, these are wonderful things happening and I'm not allowing myself to fully enjoy it because I'm overwhelmed, or I'm looking at it the wrong way. And so as stressful as it might be for us right now, the fact that we are even able to experience these things as a family is a blessing that I think we forget too much. We are overwhelmed by celebration rather than overwhelmed by tragedy. And so for that, I just keep myself in check, knowing like this energy is being put towards something really, really great. And that makes it a little easier for me. Have you learned any lessons?
A lot. Yeah, basically reiterating what Dad said, like the habits just are exposed right now, and it just doesn't feel good. And just trying to find the courage and strength to get back on the horse and try to find your new normal, because we can't go back to what it was. Um, and just day by day keep trying, I guess.
Well, it's
Um,
funny when you have a child. Like, before you have a child, you could never imagine your life with a child.
mhm.
And then she's been here 2 weeks, and already we're like, what were we before she was here? Like, it's so crazy how that just happens like that. How
Mm-hmm.
this new life comes into your world, and you're like, I can't ever imagine my life without this person. Um, but I agree. You get into that almost euphoric stage where all this great stuff's happening, and then when you take the time to like actually handle business and handle reality, it's a little ugly
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. Um, so leading up to this busy time, or just any period of growth, when you look back, what are some things that you guys might have done differently?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything could prepare me for this, but I think allowing change to happen. I feel like we're always against change, and we spend a lot of energy of like trying to keep it the same when you can't really change anything, and you're basically fighting this false reality that is just tiring, and you might as well focus your energy on something that you can overcome. Like, okay, I do have these bad habits. How can I get out of it instead of trying to like get rid of or not see it? in a different
Right.
way.
Well, I think acknowledging the bad habits is a gift as well. You know, I talked to our oldest a few weeks ago. She had a little bit of a health scare and she's needing to work on some things. And so you can be upset about that, but the conversation I had with her is you were given a gift. You were given a gift of knowing something's wrong and knowing that you can work on it and knowing that you can take steps to make it better. So I think, yeah, like you said, mindset is everything. I guess my question to you would be like, if someone your age in your scenario, looking back now, what's some advice you would give to somebody that could maybe make it a little bit easier for them?
If you feel something in your gut that you know that's a bad habit, quote unquote, or something that you want to improve, try to improve it as fast as you can. And don't let it creep up on you because the recovery's harder than trying to improve it.
To put in the work before, because it's really hard to put in
Yeah,
the work
don't ignore
after.
that gut you have of trying to avoid this bad habit. I think that's one thing that I fall into a lot is just ignoring it and saying that I don't have it. In reality, I do. I just don't want to
You don't want to
work
deal
on
with
it right now. And it just builds up over time, and then you feel like crap when it does come out. So
Yeah.
And it's hard to just recover from it because then a few weeks go by, and then you're like, well, it's even worse, and then
Takes so much more energy.
yeah.
It does.
And it really sucks because it's all on you at that point. You can't blame it on anyone. You can't, it's just hard. It's a really gut punch because you could have stopped it if you just listened to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the worst part is that you knew it was there, you chose not to do it, and you suffer the consequences. And it just, yeah, it's a mental game at that point of getting out of the gutter. So.
Yeah.
What about you?
Would I have done anything differently?
Yeah.
Same. I would have front loaded more things. Like, especially with business, I would have really front loaded as if I was taking a really long vacation. I think I underestimated being able to just handle things here and there, but yet keep consistent in other things. So I think I would have front loaded it looking at like, I'm not leaving, but I'm taking kind of a personal vacation, almost like a leave of absence to handle all of these things. And so I would have front loaded, really dialed in my systems, gone double, triple in on, lead generation, things like that, prior to this period in our lives. I think that's the one thing that I would do different.
It's hard when you're self-employed because you just think like, oh, I can do it like throughout the day, like bits and pieces.
Yeah, you think you can turn it on and off.
You can't. It's really like a 9 to 5 or even longer than that sometimes. And if you don't realize that, then you don't have a business.
And I think that was the thing. Like I planned for the time, meaning, okay, we have this on this date, that means 2 days before this, and then I planned for the time. What I didn't plan for was the emotional recovery of each of these things. And so that's what's been hard for me. Like, an event will happen, and then the next 2 days I'm like either sad or I'm lonely, and I don't really have the motivation to like get on the phone and do my things. And I just want to like wallow in my closet and have like a little pity party, which I normally do, but after like 7 big events, that's like 7 pity parties.
It's a week full of pity parties.
Right, it's like a week-long pity party. And I don't have time for that, but that's the thing that I underestimated. I underestimated the emotional part of it because I thought that I would be able to just breeze on through and handle it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I would need like emotional time. And I think shame on us for thinking that we weren't going to have feelings about it You know what I mean? And I know that sounds terrible, but I thought I'd be like, oh, it's just another thing. This is what our family does. We go, 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 go. I really, really underestimated the emotional part of all of this. And I think that is my biggest struggle right now.
Well, I think like throughout this whole month, it's just like we had something else to distract us. So like Trini's graduation, then the baby came, and then like we all these distractions came, and now we don't have anything for a whole month of June, and it's just like nothing to distract us, and then all the emotions build up, and we're sort of in this limbo stage of a pity party, really.
Anyone listening to this? Probably be like, those Estradas are just like sitting in their house crying all day. We're not doing
what
that.
What a bunch of crybabies.
I know.
Like I said, it's all good things, but yeah, you can't underestimate whether it's right or wrong, whatever. You're going to have an emotional reaction to big events in your life, and you need to allow yourself to just work through that. That's no right or wrong way. You just have to work through that. How are you guys feeling about the future?
About the future?
We kind of have a glimpse of what our new normal, as our original 7 and now 9, we kind of have a feeling of what that new normal is going to be. How do you feel about the future, whether it be our business, because that has changed a little bit, our family? We have, I know for me, I walked in the house Monday, and the second I walked into house, I already cried, because it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Our entire basement is empty, and you all have been down there forever. So
our driveway was empty.
Our driveway was empty.
Like
there's
no
cars in
cars.
front of our house.
There's no cars there. Yeah. So yeah. It doesn't really matter what I feel. It's gonna happen. So the future, it's bright. It is. There's a lot of good things happening. I think it just puts more pressure on, for me personally, to be better. That's all. So the pressure to be better is definitely at its height. It's at its pinnacle. So there's no more hiding behind the events or big events. It's already passed, so now it's time to move forward.
Yeah.
I would say I think it gets better from here. I know it does, but just getting that momentum again that we lost really sucks, because we were on a really good momentum before May, honestly, and then it just all hit and really just stopped everything. We dropped, I haven't, work, that sort of stopped, and then because I enjoy working and getting out of the house and doing all that stuff, and then for the past 2 weeks we've been in the house sick, it really sucked. So just finding what we want the future to look like, honestly. Just choosing what our routine's gonna be like, choosing what way we're gonna pave for each other, and just clinging on to the relationships we have.
Well, and I think that's something that we underestimated as well, and it's something we haven't talked about because we haven't done a podcast recently, but obviously our business is real estate, and real estate, the market right now,
it's another challenge.
It's a huge challenge, and there have been some major changes and challenges going on within the real estate market itself, and I think we've done our best to keep our finger on that. At a minimum, we've kept our finger on the market, and I gotta tell you, it's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a tough go, and so we can't go back to what we were comfortable with, I think, in any area of our life. And so that piece of it right there is hard. Everybody has been telling me, and especially as a mom, oh, but you did your job, and this is what they were supposed to do, and you did right, and that doesn't change the fact that it still hurts, and that there's a certain chapter of our life that is done. The story's not over, but there's a certain chapter of our life that is done. And I think that applies to more areas than just our family. I think that where we go forward, it's like a rebirth. It's new. It's new.
Yeah, this has kind of a somber like energy
I don't mean
to
it to be
it.
somber,
Yeah.
but
No, it is, but it is.
Yeah.
So
It's a growing pain.
yeah.
I mean, you say grief sometimes, but there is a piece where I do grieve.
Yeah.
For our loud house and the full driveway and the kids fighting, and there's a piece of me that grieves for that. And I know people's intentions have been good to say, I still have Ari and Livy, and we do, and I'm excited about where they're going, what they get to do. But it's been just this core for so long, and it is so different now. And coming home and just, even last night, just cooking dinner for 4 people, it's really hard for me to do. I haven't had to do that in 20 years. Just cook for 4 people. Getting groceries for 4 people. So as excited and proud as I am of all 3 of our older children and our now daughter-in-law and son-in-law and what they're doing, I couldn't be more proud. There's a piece of me that's just sad.
Mm-hmm.
And the emotional roller coaster is real, and I need a break.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like, I feel like we should be more excited, but it's overshadowed by the somber sadness. And it's not even a bad sadness. It's just, it's different. It's hard to explain. So, yeah. Like, I thought I looked forward to remodeling the basement. but I know, I'm like not even going down there because I'll just have the breakdown.
Are we going to be those parents?
I'll be in the furnace room just like crying in the corner behind the furnace.
We can't be those parents who leave the rooms exactly how their kids left them forever.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just different. It's different. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the good thing through all of it is we have just remained that solid core for each other. And there's a lot of people who have reached out and helped and supported, but at the end of the day, like, our Estrada core,
it's growing up.
We've just all been there.
Yeah, and it's growing up.
And again, that's, out of everything I will ever do in my life, that's what I'm most proud of.
Same.
So, stay tuned. I promise our next one won't be sad. But we thought it was important because not all growth feels great.
Yeah, it's true.
Some growth is painful. And so you need to embrace that as well.
Cool.
So we'll have a much happier topic next week, guys. Thanks for tuning in.